to link it to the YouTube to get the link for Steph, but I think we're all good. Yes, I think. Um, yep, boom, worked.
Stuff with the everybody, with everyone. Nice job. Thank you. How's
Perfect.
everybody
Here you go,
doing?
Steph. Boom, there you go.
Cool. All right, guys. I am gonna go through just a handful of charts. It's been a while since I got on this. I've been really busy with work and everything. So I wanted to jump on today and go over some options flow from today. Um, I will say when the market doesn't go straight up, um, this flow gets a little squirrely when you have big drawdowns on some of these larger players today. But I found a couple things that I think is worth looking at, so we'll just dig through this. And as always, if you are on Twitter, welcome. Tag me if you guys want me to look at anything. Um, let's see here. Okay. And then obviously in our chat, just tag me if you guys want me to look at anything in particular. The one thing I'll say is that, we still have some earnings out there. So does GME report this week? I want to say, I think they do. Yeah, GME reports tomorrow night. So, with names like that, for anyone that's new to our Discord or new to flow trading, the flow around earnings is never really reliable, regardless of what I've seen. I mean, maybe if it's really late in the day and it's right before close, look, sometimes they'll sneak in and you'll see something crazy. But I just don't feel like it's very reliable um, for any kind of earnings trade. But I know that they've been pretty active in this name. I could probably go back and dig through it, but I'm just going to go through a couple things that aren't reporting, and a couple ideas that I was looking at. So one of the first name I have for today is Grab, GRAB. This name, so this so Grab had some flow that came in a while back. Let's see if I can find it. It came in 11:18. I was just looking at this before we went live. Let's see here. These right here. I think these are them. Yeah. So so Grab had these 417 550 calls that came in on November 12th. And when we look at the open interest on this, I'm just going to pull it up in here because it's a little bit easier to see. So this is just kind of, I guess, order of operations for when I'm looking at options flow and tracking something. So obviously, this came in live on November 12th. They were sweeping these 417 $5.50 calls, which is they're coming in. They give themselves a good amount of time on these. And let's see how much premium they ended up with that day. So this was an 11/12. Okay, so they came in with $1 million in premium. Again, why is that notable? Grab is not a name that's super common to get options flow. And additionally, they came in with 28,000 contracts. And then the following morning, the open interest updated, which is essentially the number of open contracts, updated the following morning. And 2670 or 26,000 carried over from the 28,000 in volume, which is good. That means that they held their position overnight. This was not a day trade. That's basically what open interest tells you when you track it from one day to the next. You're trying to determine, are some of these being sold and some of these being bought, or did they carry the full position into the next day, which it looks like they did. So again, just as options one-on-one or options flow one-on-one, just because things are at the ask or at the bid doesn't necessarily mean that they're being bought or sold. A lot of it has to come down to open interest, and then also has to do with implied volatility as well. So, anyways, I've been kind of tracking these guys. I don't have a position in this yet, but these are now sitting at 55,000 in open interest. You can see that these have been they've been kind of building up their position in this. So sitting at 55,000 in open interest. This caught my eye just because it's just relative strength on this. We get a little bit of I guess you can call it a bull pennant or whatever, with a pretty good looking candle today. It's up 3.7%, while a lot of these other growth names, had a pretty rough day. So, Volume patterns look good. I mean, these are nice green looking buy candles in here. And it's basically had this big rip here, an 11% day, followed by, a couple more big candles, and that's now basically consolidating. So I don't think this, I mean, if I look on here, these contracts really haven't moved too much since they've got into it. I know that let me see if I can pull up the larger time frame. I'll go 30 days. So they came in here. And you see that they bought these at what, 44 cents, and they got all the way up to they almost 2x'd. But from what I can tell from the open interest, they're still holding this position. And this is how it looks on Black Box. I'll often go between the two systems just to cross-reference because I just like certain tools and certain ones. Uh, Black Box is the go-to for intraday, like watching stuff come in live. It's undefeated. But in terms of some of the other tools, I do like both. So I do have both. So that's what's cool that I look at both of those things for the members. But for 417, 550 calls, they came in, I think they came in today on this. Yeah, there was only 14K in premium today, but they're trading at 70 cents. I still think this looks pretty good for upside. And again, relative strength compared to the rest of the market. Let me see here. One name that I did see, I was trying, I didn't really see a ton today in the flow, so I kind of just looking through some things that caught my eyes. So Lemonade was another one, LMND. This was another name that had a little bit of flow, nothing crazy, but what caught my eye on this is here. So they came in here, and they came in near the end of the day, which you can kind of call this buzzer beater flow, or they're building a swing position for tomorrow at least. And I did not see what this is trading after hours, but they came in with these 12, 13, $44 puts. Again, not a ton of premium, but definitely buying in here. I think this ended up being like a little bit over 100K in weekly puts, which is kind of notable. Some of these growth names had some really nasty sell candles today. So just looking at this on a lower time frame, I mean, I guess you can make the case that there's a little bit of a gap down here, and it's maybe forming a little bit of a bear flag into these moving averages here on the 65-minute. So is this something that you're going to full port short? I wouldn't, but I think that if you're looking for a decent hedge or if you're long in a lot of growth names, this might not be a bad one. Just because this flow kind of caught my eye that they're sweeping out of the money puts for the same week. So you don't really see that terribly often. So again, this thing has been such a monster that I'm not the first one to stand in front of something that's been this strong, right? And that's probably why they didn't go crazy with premium. But I guess you could say that this is potentially putting in a little bit of a topping pattern for now, at least. So I don't think this is a terrible looking chart if you want to go short. But again, I did not enter this, but it was something I saw later in the day. Speaking of another name that I saw that had some decent size put flow on this today was SNOW Snow. So they came in with these again weekly contracts, which the reason I found both of these names was the alerts that we get from I gotta zoom out. The alerts we get from black box stocks that this was a weekly, this is an out of the money put. So these are weekly 180 puts. This is trading at 182.44. And they came in with 400K in premium, which is a pretty good amount for a weekly for weekly puts. I did not even look at the chart. Look, I mean, again, this thing has been such a strong name after this earnings rip. I remember I sold my shares right into that after hours and just continued to keep going. But again, it's one of those names, you don't really know what these guys are doing in terms of like positioning wise, if they're hedging or, maybe they're hedging some overnight exposure. I'm not sure. But I did see that there was a pretty good amount of premium here in these 180 puts. So, anytime you see about $500,000 in weekly in either direction, they're out of the money. I think it's something worth looking at for sure. So let me see here. Another name that I had on here, I put a little post in my channel here was TSM. So it seems like a lot of these semis have been pretty weak lately. We'll get some bounces here and there, but SMH is another one that looks a little weaker. So that they came in really a weird expiry. They came in with these January of January 24th, 25s, which is kind of a weird expiration. Usually they go for monthly expiration. Um, so they come up with the 195 puts. I want to say this is buying puts. It's not super clear, but I like this. I like to think so based that the fact that the implied volatility is going up. You can see that this is at the bid, this is at the ask, this is at the mid. Again, it's not really clear on what they were doing with these, and I would like to see how much open interest carries over, but a good amount of premium in these. When I cross-reference these on the 195s here, so this had about $7 million in premium. Now we're gonna have to check and see how much of this carries over to open interest here, but I don't think this is actually kind of lines up with what I'm seeing on this chart here, that we got a rejection off of this sort of, you want to call a supply zone up here. This 205 level here. Looks like we got you see we rejected here and here, and we were rejected again here, and it closed near the low of the day too. These guys came in actually, they came in pretty early in the morning too. So I don't know what these are currently trading at, but let's see. I mean, there's probably up to about $9, and they opened their position about $8.20. So not even a bad move on this. And if you look at some of the other semis, like I was looking at SMH today, this thing has been, I mean, that's not a great looking daily candle on this. And it kind of looks like it's, I guess you can call it distribution or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't look terribly bullish here. If we look at some of the other semi names like Nvidia, again, really nasty kind of dragonfly doji here, and then the sell-off candle, and then obviously today, we had another 2.5% down day here. I guess you could say on this Nvidia, I haven't really looked at this today yet, but maybe an inverse head and shoulders on this. But again, I'm not really sure. It seems like it's been kind of rejecting this supply up here. This, if you want to say this is, supply-ish level up here. This hasn't been trading like the rest of the market has. So definitely something to keep in mind when you're looking at semis. Like I said, SMH, kind of a similar situation. ARM, I thought that actually looked pretty good, but I think this probably looks a little bit better than the other ones. They have this downtrend line here, but I still think they might get drawn down with the rest of the semis. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else that came across. If you guys have any questions while I'm looking at this, tag me in the chat. I'm going to check Twitter and see if anybody mentioned anything that I want, but let me see here if they want. Yeah, so just an overview of the black box system. Obviously, this is something that I use every day. I get these alerts pushed to both my Apple Watch and my phone, which is really great because I'm usually out doing stuff for work during the day. So that's pretty convenient. I think it's a good system. Like I said, Unusual Whales has some tools that I like, but in terms of like live flow and everything, this is what I like. I did think that it's when you have the market that kind of threw everybody off. I mean, I I didn't have a terrible day. I avoided a little bit of drawdown. But I really wasn't expecting a big nasty candle like this on some of the leaders like coin. Closed below the 9 EMA today. Kind of, I guess you could say it's kind of at this kind of ascending kind of trend line here, but it's not a great looking candle. It's down, ended up closing near the lows of the day. Bitcoin it's kind of still holding this level here. I know Microsoft has I think it's has the decision to add it to Bitcoin to its balance sheet or whatever it is. Coors was another name that I was watching. I didn't really like this candle on Friday. I was hoping that we would get a little bit more of a push with it closer to the highs. So I didn't enter anything on this, even though I was watching it. And then we got this huge sell-off here. So I guess you could say that it's closed at this kind of support here level of this Monday candle from last week. But I'm just kind of waiting to see where this goes. I'm not a huge fan of buying a leverage position into weakness. I don't think it's a bad idea, but you got to give yourself enough time. Otherwise, you're going to be willing to eat some drawdown. So again, I thought this looked a little bit better last night when I was looking at, but then we got a huge sell-off, and I probably take this off the watch list for now. Trying to think if there's anything else I was watching. Yeah, I saw. Thanks, Patrick. I saw that the China flow. I did not have any position in this, but I honestly, pretty much can guarantee that we tag this in here. So yen, let me see here. I'm sure it's, you know what, let me just do this. Yeah, I mean, this had a monster day. Yeah, so I noted that this had, so this yen, these January 16, 2026 calls, they had $89 million in premium, and they absolutely got paid today. I mean, what a crazy candle on that. I've been burned by China too many times to actually play it, and of course, you know, the one like super obvious trade I didn't take, but that's okay. 116, 2026. Let me see what these are trading at. And this is what strike. This is the 27s. My God. And then CHAU is another name that had some crazy flow on it too. Yeah, I mean you could see. Yeah, I mean this is presuming all buying in here. They're buying them at $8 and $10 in here, and I mean it hit a high of what, $16 today on these yen, these leveraged China calls. I think it's hilarious when they're buying calls on a leverage ETF. It's like how much how much leverage do you guys need? But obviously these guys had a huge move on this. I know a lot of the China names had like this crazy candle. Now, with that being said, what was yen up today? I remember I took a screenshot, 23% today. I think at the highs it was almost 30%. Um, with when you get a gigantic move like this, like a huge gap up, I mean, I can go through here. A lot of these alerts from today, um, were chasing that giant move. That is not, I've never really had good luck with doing it. I know some traders or breakout traders or whatever you want to call it. Uh, and you can go through here. JD had some. I mean, they'll chase this. Oh, what is this? There was something that really caught my eye. I think I posted them, but there was something that really caught my eye on JD this morning. There's some pretty good size and something. Let me see here. Yeah, but you'll see these guys. This one right here. Yeah, these 417. Oh, these are in the money. It was something different. Anyways, you'll see these guys chase with size a big gap up like this. And I've just been doing this long enough to know not to even post it or even consider like chasing it. It's just not, that's just really, maybe it was yeah, it was probably this. Yeah, they came in, yeah, this right here. So they're coming in and buying these 43s for January 24th of next year. And you can see 500. I mean, this is like what, $3 million in premium here in these JD. But again, I I am not a huge fan of chasing a candle that looks like that. That's just, giant rip up. Now, this could keep going. I mean, we've seen these China stocks really, I mean, the rally they had earlier this year was just insane. How every single day was just gapping up like another 10 or 12%. So this could keep going. I'm not exactly sure. This isn't really my forte. I will say, like, if I get some really interesting options flow on something that's printing an inside day, that is usually like that's where I'm like, okay, I'm really interested in this. Is something like I don't even know example. APLD, I think I want to say last week had an inside day. Now this had a nasty sell candle today. I still have some of my calls. I did get a couple out this morning, but this was a nasty sell. It's still holding this weekly level right now. Fingers crossed that this put in the low of the week here today, and then it just continues to kind of fix this. Today's only Monday, so still a lot of time left in this weekly candle here. And I like the fact that this did print the highest weekly close in a while on this. So I'm still holding my position there. The calls are for February, so I still got a little bit of time on this, but I definitely don't like. I think I'm down like maybe 15 or 20% on my calls. But I'm going to let them work for me because I do like this chart a lot. So, but there was some. I think let me see if I could find it. I had some. What's what made me look at it last week? I was in meetings all week, but I did get this APLD, this out here. So when I posted this, it was printing an inside day here, and that's what usually caught my attention too. So if you can get to some of these bigger names, I mean, I'm not actually a big. I am a big fan of catching these. So following flow with a little bit of time, and then you're potentially entering it on an inside day, I think is a smart idea because you're going to get, a little bit of draw or a little bit of a cheaper contract because the theta is working on an inside day. But I think that if especially if you see a lot of calls coming in on an inside day on a candle, I'm a big fan of those because they're not chasing, right? They're kind of building their position on something like that. So yeah, Roblox, I'm just going through my journal here. Roblox had such a nice move, 100% on those calls. Um, oh, I know. I actually opened a position today. I forgot. I opened these eBay. So eBay, I don't mind this daily candle. So eBay had it kind of broke like this little downtrend here, and it had a nice looks like I had a pretty good sized candle today. Some relative strength on this, and I know that they swept these with size, which is kind of where I dipped my toe in. So they came in with these 321 $70 calls. And they came in with, I want to say, 1 million or so in premium. I don't know what this ended up with. Let me just pull it up. eBay 321.70. Yeah, so I do have a smaller size position in this. Again, when you see growth names like selling off like crazy, I'm not going to go super heavy into something like this, but this actually ended up having, yeah, $1 million in premium. Pretty clean call buying here. You can see the implied volatility going up as they continue to sweep these. They swept these for about a half hour, and I'll check the OI on these tomorrow. But this actually looks pretty good. I kind of like the look of this. You basically had this big run up here, and then it looks this is probably related to earnings, is my guess. And I mean, really strong bounce off and starting to break this downtrend. So I still think this can continue to run. We've seen that multiple times where these kind of these big drawdowns from an earnings nuke will pretty much get eaten up right away, and they'll continue to keep going after that. Target was another one. This had this big drawdown here, and this nasty, what is a 21% down day, and then it's continuing to grind up. So we've seen that a little bit. So I kind of like those. Anytime it's options flow that it's coming in on a not around earnings. This didn't print an inside day, but I did like this kind of consolidation break here too. So and a good amount of premium. So he kind of just builds the case of we have a lot of really talented analysts in our Discord, and I'm always looking at what they're thinking of and what they're looking at. And when I see options flow that kind of matches that, that will definitely grab my attention. Google was another one that I saw today that I saw some. I know that this had. I don't know if the news was after hours, but I saw that the CEO tweeted something about quantum computing or something, but. This one actually is it these? Yeah. So they came in with these 919 220 calls, which is pretty far out of the money. I thought Google looked pretty decent. I mean, we've seen a pretty good bid in these large cap kind of Mag 7 names here, and some relative strength here. I think this can continue to push over the next couple days, provided nothing crazy happens. But this is pretty interesting that they're coming in. Again, they're not chasing a 12% up day where they had some crazy news or anything like that. They're coming in and buying these. There was also an alert on this today too. These 12, 13, 180s. I really like this, but then I saw that they came in. So this alert came in somewhere in here. Let's see, what time did it come in? This came in. What time was this? Does it show? I think it was like 10:30 or so. This alert fired, and it actually looks like they probably closed out a good amount of their position. They came in about 9:15, 10:30, and then you can see it about 11:15, and then closer to the end of the day, a lot of these are being filled. Some of these are being filled at the bid. So I'm thinking that some of this was closing their position. So again, these are weekly calls. They're sleeping 180 calls, but it did get my attention. But I thought this looked fairly decent on a higher time frame. So some flow on fresh. I know that I saw that name like 4 times over the weekend. Uh, this looks good. This kind of a nasty. I don't know how I feel about this candle that came in today. But I will pull the flow up for a second. But the chart looks good. I mean, not my favorite. Like I would like this to close with a little bit more strength, but if you had swung calls on this, you probably had a nice open at least. So let's pull up fresh. Let's see. So again, I'm gonna make sure I don't have any filters on. So I did get, let me see here. a variety of these 1220s, 1750s, and this isn't as clean as I would like. I don't know what. Did he post them? Maybe I'm missing something. No. Let me see here. I did get, you know what? I think I got an alert on these. I got these 1221, $1750 calls. Yeah, so I did get an alert on these. Again, these are 221, so February 1750 calls. It looks like they were looks like they were pretty much buying these all day. I would like this to exceed open interest. And without getting an entire dissertation about what open interest is, basically, you would want to see that these are opening positions because if since this did not exceed open interest, technically they could be closing a short position. Like if they opened up short calls like months ago and they're finding starting to close them, they could be closing activity. You wouldn't really know until it exceeds OI. So we'll have to check these tomorrow and to see if this, if this is really buying, then you would expect that this open interest goes up by, 8,000 or so tomorrow. So nothing really in this name that I would chase per se. These are kind of smaller size in here and it's not as clean as I'd like it. So, um, yeah, so I think you had some, I know that, Rory Kitty had some, I think he tweeted something and people were speculating it was you. I was not, I'm not as familiar with that flow because I didn't see it come in live. I was out last week, but, I did tweet that I did like this name that you there was, I want to say it was something ridiculous that they were sweeping like $70 calls or something like that last week. Let me just pull up the flow from last week. Yeah, so they've been really, really active in this. I want to say there were, yeah, these 1227 $30 calls for almost $500,000 in premium. Let me see here. I want to see if I could find the original one because I think Keon texted me. He's like, "What the fuck are they doing with you?" Uh, there were $70 calls somewhere. Maybe these? Yeah, here it is. So they were sweeping these $70 calls, these 11770s, which is just absurd. I don't know what they were doing with these. If I search here, let's just take a look at the actual contract. I don't know, $70 calls is so absurd. Um, if we look at this here, so they came in and there's tons. I mean, like I think there's like $1 million on the 5th last week. But this is why we check open interest though, too, because they came in with 23,000 in volume, but only 8,600 stayed till the next day. So I don't know if there was news on this or if this was related to like the Roaring Kitty tweet, but if this is a majority of this volume was a day trade. But I still think that they're sweeping this with there's still some pretty good lines that it looks like they are still holding in here. And I mean, if I'm going to trade this, I'm not trading $70 calls. I'm going to pick something that's a little bit more reasonable and closer to the money. But that's just me. But yeah, this is pretty good. This 1227 30s. I think that we've seen. I mean, how many times this year have we seen these big bases break out like over and over and over and over again? So I don't think this is an unreasonable idea at all. I mean, the buying volume is very clear right down here. And this kind of trend line is being tested here. So there's no question that this could rip. I mean, one name that just keeps going and going was AI. I mean, this kind of broke this. AI broke this consolidation here and just kind of had this giant candle and was up like crazy after hours or last night, I want to say, and it just keeps continuing to rip. So I would not put that past something like, I mean, this is kind of a similar look that just looks like it wants to break this downtrend. And then, you break this downtrend, you're looking at, potentially $40 and the next target's 46. And then after that, you're looking at almost 60 based on this high time frame chart. So definitely one to keep in mind. Uber, again, I'm so out of the loop because this is the first day I've been back since I was out. I'm sure that this had some options flow last week too. Yeah, these 65s. What are they doing here? How much did this carry over? December 6th. These are already expired, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, let's see what else you guys got. Fresh. Oh, is this what you were referencing to? Yeah, these 1750s here. Yeah. What else you guys got? Anything else you want me to look at here while I'm online? I could probably look up a couple more things. MSTR is one of those names. It's like this is like the SMCI of crypto names, that it's always going to get flow in both directions, and it's kind of hard to discern. It's becoming since it had this gigantic run up. It's one of those names that I don't really trust it too much, because people will come in and buy. I mean, there's always. It's like every day that there's at least $1 million and some crazy out of the money strike on this. Turn this off. Let me see here. I think there was one line that really caught my eye today. And it was something absurd. 620, was it this one? Yeah, someone came in and swept $2.6 million in leaps with a 620 strike, which is just this. If you want to see some real crackheads in action, I mean, this is the ultimate crackhead like investing device. Investing vehicle is this. This trading vehicle is MSTR. I mean, I'll just laugh sometimes because it's just hilarious strikes in here. Like, I'm sure I posted it. Like, this one's pretty good. They swept 800K in premium for this week's 442.50s. So I mean, they're eating it right now because it's close almost near the low of the day on this MSTR. It's trying to hold the best it can, this 360 level in here. So, when you've been doing it as long as I have, you kind of get a sense of what names are good to track on flow and which names are, best left to trade the chart instead, or a combination of the two. Let's look at Rivian. So Rivian, wow, this thing is really gone. I remember we were looking at this like on stream like a while ago, and I was like, oh, this $10, 10.50 level is a good level to risk off of. Um this kind of psych level down here. This is really gone. I have not pulled up this chart in a while, but let's see if we have anything interesting on it. God, this thing is let's see. Let me go to today. $13.50. These are pretty interesting. Wow, this has such a crazy intraday move. So these opened up. So these Rivian 1350s, these got tagged right at open, and they were trading at 61 cents. And then by 9:30, they went already up to $1. So I would be interested to see how much of this carries over to open interest. But God, what a move on this. Did this have news or something? I haven't traded Rivian in a long time, but yeah, they just bought this gap up and just continued to just rip the rest of the day. If I was trading this, I mean, am I going to buy? I don't know if I'd necessarily buy, 11% candle, but I guess you could say this has a similar look to you, right? You got kind of this downtrend here. You can call it the Jake from State Farm falling wedge kind of look on this. It actually doesn't look too bad. I don't know if I would take a position in it because I feel like there's other better names to trade, but um, I'll still never forget this name though. I'll never forget that rip. I don't even know where it was. Somewhere like it was like 2, 3 years ago. They were sweeping 1750 calls for like months on end, and then finally they went out and they paid like 1,000%. I'll never forget that. But this actually looks kind of interesting on a higher time frame. I mean, again, a lot of these growth names have had such a crazy moves that I would not be surprised to see this and rip. I mean, this now that I'm looking at this, now I kind of want to position in this just because I'm looking at it. But I've been kind of selective with my entries on stuff, and when you see these big drawdowns in some of these bigger names, it just makes you not want to carry stuff overnight as much as you normally would. Tesla was another one. This was, in my opinion, I actually had a nice trade. I did not alert that I took anything on this, unfortunately, but this is one of those names that they were just sweeping calls for like weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks on end. And ever since the election, this thing has been such a monster. But you get this giant candle the week of the election, and this is just continuing to rip. I mean, this thing had the highest weekly close. Geez, this what 388? I mean, the highest weekly close since basically back here. So I was joking that the most perfectly balanced portfolio is 50% Tesla and 50% coin. That's probably the most safe bet for next year. But coin, again, as much as I like this name, I still think this looks okay. But I really was hoping that this would just kind of put it in an MSTR and just kind of just really rip. This kind of tweezer top gave me a little bit of caution on Friday. I would have liked this to close a little bit higher, even though we did close 7% on the day. I still think this is just consolidating. Maybe it's just shaking people out. I want to believe in this. I really do. I have some shares in my IRA on this, but I'm not so sure on this yet. I think it just might need a little bit more time. But again, this is one of those names that's just related to whatever Bitcoin wants to do. Obviously, this has had such a crazy rip. I remember looking at this here like multiple streams ago. I'm like, oh, this is just consolidating into this big ass flag. And I bought a bunch of Bitcoin like somewhere in this area, and I'm up like 60 or 70% on it already, which is pretty sweet. So oh, Fastly, that's a great one. Yeah. It's funny because I text T-Lan this morning because T-Lan was looking at this live on stream. I want to say last Monday. Maybe it was last Monday. What day was it? Yeah, I want to say he was looking this on stream on Twitter Live. So shout out to T-Lam. You guys should be following him. He was doing like a demo for Black Box Stocks, and he noticed like some small sweeper in this. And this, I tagged him. I think it was last night that I was looking at this chart, and this thing has been a monster. I mean, it's still got more. I think let's look at this on a weekly time frame. This is what we call kind of a fast zone. It basically got through like this. You can see this is actually one of the cooler looking names here. We basically got through this basic, you want to call it supply zone or whatever you want to call it. Basically got through that and then just continued to rip right up to here. I can imagine this being 12, $13 somewhat soon on this. Let's look at the options flow. I don't know if we had anything on this. Yeah, so lots of opening orders still on this. There's actually some pretty good lines in here. One of these was a six figure. This is nice. I'll actually post this in the chat for you guys because I don't know if I posted this today, but this is actually a really nice line. These are nice. Yeah, these are good. These 1227, 1250s are pretty nice. Again, this is things I like to look at. 200K in premium, short expiry, out of the money, a good amount of contracts, and the implied volatility went up as well. So this thing has been such a monster. Again, would I chase this? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, it had a 4% day, which is not bad. I mean, it's still continuing to rip. There's a lot of room left on this as well. I would like to see, inside day or look for, a little bit of a pullback or just to chill out a little bit before I start building a position in it. But yeah, there's definitely some good lines. They're building a good positions in here. These 12, 20, 12s are really active too. I actually like to look at these as well. Not a ton of premium, but this is let's see. Yeah, these are good. I like both of these lines. I think that averaging into a position or building a little position on this it looks good. So is that your entry, Camden Chris? Oh yes, fishing some FSLY shares at $5.60. Let's see. Oh my God, did you really buy down at this double bottom kind of look down? I mean, that's as low. You've literally caught the bottom on this. Uh, Good shit, dude. Let's see. And it's funny because if you look at this base, like this is a weekly time frame. This is just absurd. Like if we just zoom in on this, I mean, this weekly base is just it's still, it basically reclaimed this kind of $7 level down here. Um Here, and then just continue to rip. But like even if you zoom out on this, like this base on some of these names, it's just insane. What a crazy looking chart. I still think this might, technical chart. I mean, if this thing can get back up to these highs up here at 25 bucks, it's pretty ridiculous. It might be a little while before that happens, but you're starting to see the buyers come in. So this is kind of a cool looking chart. I have no position in this, but yeah, it's cool. NVO, let's see. Fat people stock. Let's see. Let's see. This is a nice order. This is a block. So they came in this morning and they swept these $120 calls here. I'll post them. I'll reply to you in the chat so you have them. But um, so a block order is, you can think of it like a limit order. It's basically like, these go through one exchange and they may, I don't remember the exact definition, but these may be exchange off exchange. So it's basically, think of it as a limit order. The sweeps are which what catches my attention, that they're sweeping the order book and they're going through multiple exchanges to get them. But in terms of like, I think this is kind of a buy the dip name, right? This thing has been so strong, and it had basically since the election, you've had like kind of a drawdown from the Robert F. Kennedy, Make America Healthy Again. But these guys are still printing money. I mean, this is still, they still make good products, right? That people are using. So, um, we'll see. But that's a pretty good order from order flow, options flow standpoint. Let me make sure let's see here. Yeah. What else you guys got? Anything else you want me to look at? Um, again, for anyone that's, I don't know, I'll check Twitter. I don't know if anyone tagged me on anything yet, but if you guys want me to look at anything, or this is what we do in our Discord. We kind of try to pair options flow with good looking charts, manage our risk, and kind of work off of each other. So obviously, if you guys are interested, anybody on Twitter is interested, the territory is called Uncharted Territory, or the Discord rather. Discord is Uncharted Territory. Bop.com/Uncharted. Promo code 50%. Alex Jones will get you 50% off. So I'll probably scan a little bit longer, but I'll probably, if anybody has any other questions, the territory is called Uncharted Territory. Sorry, I had no sleep last night. I have a 5-month-old baby at home, and she wakes up every like 2 hours. So I'm a little, and I just got back from being out of town for work, so I'm a little tired. But yeah, I'm glad to be here. I'm gonna just take a little bit more of a scan on my own, and if I see anything else, I'll post it. But I appreciate you guys jumping on. If you have any questions, tag me in the chat. But that's it. That's all I got for you guys. I hope you have a good night. Thanks.